Dr. Naresh Trehan, Chairman and MD of Medanta, joining us live now. According to the information that we have so far, I want to, pose a few questions to you, Dr. Trehan. First of all, this 66-year-old male who's tested positive in Karnataka, he traveled from South Africa and the report that he had was a negative one. So, what do you make of this? He tested before he left South Africa, his report was negative, and yet now he's positive.
So, one thing, the incubation period can be longer. So it does not mean that if the first day that you are going to be sort of positive, that it'll come, you may have the virus in your back of your throat or in the lungs and still not be able to be tested positive. That's why we say that people who are negative and highly suspicious background, then they should be isolated and tested again at 6-7 days. So one thing is that was the lab that did the test accurate? They could have missed it at the lab. A lot of people are traveling, they say, with fake certificates. Or is it that possibly that it is not detectable at the first sight, but the virus multiplies and then becomes positive after 1 or 2 or 3 days. So these are all things that can happen. So I would not speculate on it. But the point is that you have to be very vigilant. That's why they are saying people who are coming from countries, which are countries of suspicion that it is spreading there, then we need to be doubly careful with them and actually isolate them. Put them in quarantine. Put them in quarantine for a week. And test them again before you release them, because this is something that we cannot be careless about.
And to be fair, this is exactly how this gentleman was also discovered as positive, because he was traveling from South Africa, he was put into a hotel, and within a few hours, his tests had come out positive. Now, the other thing is that he at least had 1 dose of vaccine that he had already taken. Your thoughts on that?
So, what protection this vaccine is giving against Omicron is still not very clear. But the point is that so far what South Africa is reporting and so what the other countries are reporting is that the people who have been vaccinated twice are actually getting a very mild case of it. And it's very possible that people who have received 1 dose even have got enough immunity from that to be able to just fight it with mild symptoms. So that's a good thing. It's known that even once dose has been given, is giving protection. Now, the other thing that must be looked at is, did this gentleman ever get COVID before, or did he ever get tested before in the sense of his antibodies?
Okay.
Because a lot of people have developed passive antibodies from passive exposure.
But, let's also look at the positives, the fact that he is 66 years old and yet he is asymptomatic and he's said to be in a stable condition. So would you say not to read too much into that, or you would see that as a positive sign?
No, it's certainly encouraging that there are the reports from around the world are coming which say that yes, the people are experiencing mild symptoms. So that's encouraging, but it's not conclusive yet. Because there's not enough data. That is one part. Now, the other part, which is also a problem, is that how fast does it spread? What is the R naught factor? If the R naught factor is what they are estimating as somewhere around between 12 and 18 or even higher, then we have a problem, because no matter how mild you are, but you still have the virus. And you will still have the effects of it and the myalgia and maybe low fever, but you will not feel 100% well for long periods of time.
Okay.
So it's not that you have to be careless and say, well, even if I get it, it'll be mild and then the whole country will get it. No.
Yeah.
The point is we must protect ourselves. It is no fun getting it, whether it is mild or severe. Be careful.
Absolutely.
Everything we can exercise, the 3 things that of the COVID appropriate behavior, the government is doing a bang up job of restricting travel, testing them vigorously, surveying them and isolating them. And so these things, if we keep doing, hopefully we will be able to contain it and it will not spread throughout the country like the second wave when Delta virus actually went wild.
Absolutely. The idea is not to lull people into any sense of being lax or to think this is not such a big deal and they can afford to let their guard down. It's just to put all the information out there and have the experts analyze it. And for that, Dr. Trehan, thank you very much for joining us.